I was thinking that Kenzie could have a shot, see whether he could get an MVP on the champion, but not going to be happening this time as they're just going to put it straight on the bench.
You just have to think, you know, that they would have prepped for this game. They would have prepped for Sudden Fear. Sudden Fear only had one win going into this. You're going to have to throw some of that preparation. Just some surprising high-level play. Of course, Energizer coming in. They left him out to the Wolves in laning phase. Still came in with massive team fight play on that Sivir. Just did excellently on that champion. So throw out some of your prep. Ban away the LeBlanc. You may even consider banning away the Sivir, depending on what you know about Energizer's champion pool. Well,
Energizer actually picked up 2 wins in the OCS when he was taking Sudden Fear through there. Of course, Infamoon only came in the start of the OPL, but 2-0 on Ezreal.
Ezreal, okay, another Ezreal, man. It feels like there's a lot of them. CNJ and other players around the OPL seem love their Ezreal. The Ezreal flex picks is something we see a lot in Korea, but we haven't seen so much in the OPL. Ezreal mid is still a very formidable force as well, but not been the Ezreals, at least in the OPL.
Yeah, and a very similar champion select coming through as Sion going to continue his reign of the bench.
It's interesting. No Sion changes. People have seen the Sion performances in the OPL and they've decided, well, we don't know how to kill that guy, so ban him.
Well, you can't kill that guy. It's about, well, we just don't want to have to click on him. Like, just don't worry about it. Get him out of here. We want champions that we can actually kill, even if they don't necessarily do all that much.
He just synergizes too well with that Elixir of Iron. Need to click that Callista behind him, please.
Pick Cho'Gath, everyone. Pick Cho'Gath. Kassadin, though, he's going to join the ban list here coming through from Avant Garde, keeping it pretty color coordinated over there. As Sudden Fear, are they going to go for someone who's a little bit red-tinged? And they're not, as Kennon's going to hit the bench as well. So could be aimed at Kenzie or Porky here in that Kennon. That's an interesting ban.
Now, if this was against the Chiefs, you might say, all right, we just saw the Kennon come out of swipe, but understandable. They must know something we don't. They must know that Porky's been practicing that Kennon. Kennon's so reliable on this patch with the changes. But look at this lock-in, a champion that was actually affected by the 5.3 changes. Not quite the goddess of the jungle she was for that one-patch wonder there was the jungle Nidalee. Still strong, still if you hit those spears, an amazing ganking threat, but not the power jungling that we saw on 5.2.
And you mentioned jungling here, but Kenzie has been a renowned Nidalee player for quite some time, so he could be wanting to pick that one up. And we've seen him flexing in that mid lane with some interesting picks, including that Vladimir. Maybe not working out so much, but Sudden Fear, they've realized what works, and they're just going to go straight back to it.
I mean, Christmas Trees especially should just lock in that Gnar every opportunity. If he can recreate these amazing team fight Gnars, doesn't even matter if the laning phase was shaky. He was game-changing on that champion.
And Kenzie,
it's a love letter, I think.
Yeah, I like the hover. I like the hover. Fiora, not so much.
Not so much. Power farm, get that Devourer and just pick up all that damage. It's really good, you know.
Yeah, well, Shelby built a Black Cleaver on Vi in his last showing, so wouldn't put it past him here, as Kenzie's going to just lock in that Thresh here for Johnny. So Johnny played a bit of that Thresh so far, and Porky going to take the Aurelia. So a very different matchup here for Christmas Trees in the top lane.
Yeah, moving from Maokai to the Aurelia. I much like the Aurelia, especially in this Gnar matchup. Skill matchup is a word we use often for this matchup. We've seen Aurelias really consistently get ahead in this laning matchup. It's always the same story. Get to level 6 or 7, start overpowering your enemy, and if you can get ahead, especially in terms of a 1v1, and Gnar has to kind of start grouping early, if you can get the split push advantage on Aurelia, so much potential in a team fight.
Yeah, and Apex has the opportunity to go to his Xerath here as well, if he wants to. Of course, with that Gnar available, we've seen a lot of Gnar in the top lane plus Xerath play in sort of this patch region, over a lot of different regions, actually, as Energizer's looking at the Sivir for even more of the same as last game. And
wait, it can't go much worse in lane, right, than last time. And they shrugged it off. Energizer was wonderful. So why not just throw up the Gambit and say, all right, let's try it again.
Interesting, interesting. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you may think that Apap's going to be playing that Lulu. But Roller is the only player to have picked up Lulu's support. Actually went 1-1 in the OCS on that Lulu. So a bit of a flex pick here for Sudden Fear, keeping things a little bit open for their last pick.
Johnny hovering over the Veigar. We've been seeing Veigar support jump out in a few regions, so it's not completely out of the realm of possibility. But it would be a Veigar mid, mentioning that Thresh is out there. Don't know about the Veigar blind pick. Probably not going to come through, but a man can dream.
He certainly can, and I like it.
The Vladimir came up.
Yeah.
Anything can happen.
I mean, you call it. It will probably happen. Kenzie's probably just got some sort of like brain link with you at the moment. But it is going to be the Xerath hover instead. I was looking forward to the Thresh mid. That's what I was looking forward to.
Going with considering the Jinx. Again, Jinx versus Sivir is a great laning matchup.
Oh my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, Ari has somehow snuck through the entirety of the champ select.
You can calm down, actually, Atlas, because on 5.3,
yeah,
Ari's fallen through the picks and bans. Even the likes of Swiffer has been moving away from the Ari a little bit. Of course, still is extra, very survivable in lane with the Q changes. That wasn't changed. Still has that burst of movement speed. Still has the extra escape early. And then, of course, at level 6, you just, please no Gankarino. Too strong in that middle lane. But they've just really toned down her mana cost and her damage. So she really synergizes with Abyssal Scepters, perhaps the best research we did. All her ranges around that 600 range area. Not quite the oppressive champion, a very safe blind pick mid, though.
Yeah, still quite strong here, a little bit stronger than she was before 5.2, but you have to say not quite the ban list powerhouse that she was, but still very, very exciting to see. Brawler going to be looking at the bird, but I'm not entirely sure whether that's going to be coming through. And Apaps has sort of a whole lot of options here, and he has played that Xerath in the past, but the rest of his champions, they've been banned away. And looking at a potential Cassiopeia, and I would love to see that champion. The synergy with Gnar is amazing here with that Petrifying Gaze plus Gnar, if they can get the team fights that they want.
It's locked in. I actually look at the synergy levels and think Whimsy and Sivir Ultimate as super fast Cassiopeia. If you never drop that poison, her damage output in a team fight is insane. The difference between a Cassiopeia winning a team fight and losing a team fight is just keeping up that poison on a whole team. And with this much speed, you throw in a Rylai's maybe into the mix, the damage potential from a Cassiopeia, you look at those endgame graphs and you're like, my god, the magic damage is everywhere.
And I'm just looking at this as well, and I'm thinking a Pink Bomi goes straight in there and gets the Unburrow, and Avant Garde are just going to be entering a bouncing castle because the Wild Growth going to come through after the Unburrow, and they're just going to be up and down, up and down. It'll be ridiculous.
I believe we saw that from a team earlier on the OPL. Was that synergy between Lulu and Rek'Sai, the double knockup between the Unburrow and Ultimate, is a very potent but kind of not considered initiation option with that Lulu support. So the Lulu Sivir lane is going to be very interesting. You have to think it's going to be wave push all day. Just queue down those minions, both of them, just chuck out those spells and try and wave clear. It's going to be the Corki Thresh, a very standard bottom lane coming out from Avant. Might even see some lane swaps coming in, but given that it's Sivir versus Corki, you have to think Corki wants the 1v1.
Yeah, well, that's true. And of course, these top laners, they're not going to mind. Of course, Aurelia, fantastic in that 2v1 situation, as is Gnar, who can utilize that range. So they're not going to be too worried, and we'll see whether someone does decide to go for that one. But man, the synergy coming through from Sudden Fear is so frightening. But what are Avant Garde trying to do as far as what their comp's built for? Are they just trying to get picks here with this charm to come through and Nidalee just throwing out spears?
Well, I mean, the big unknown is always the Nidalee jungle. And what Nidalee does in the game, she either kind of takes over a game, strangles the enemy out, gets those damage ganks in. Of course, she's got CC in all her lanes. You have to remember that. If you see the Equilibrium Strike come, if you see the Charm come through, if you see the Death Sentence come through, the damage ganks from Nidalee, even early, are very, very large if she can hit that spear. So setup CC is very strong. They have a very good comp around Nidalee jungle. You just have to remember, Nidalee, she was a snowball jungler before, but she's so much so now. She doesn't have the option to power farm because she doesn't get the reset on her Cougar form abilities when she hunts a monster like she did before. So it doesn't have the power clear, but there's just such a high cap when it comes to those ganking junglers. So it's going to be about early mid, getting the picks, starting up that dragon control, and not letting it get to late. Because once Cassiopeia, hits that passive stacks, hits those item threshold, it's going to be so hard to team fight with this Nidalee comp.
Oh yeah, and Sudden Fear wants sort of all of their champions working together in order to make these team fights work. And if they lose a member, things could get a lot more difficult. But with the Lulu insurance, it's sort of like Avant Garde. What they want to do is get a pick, delete someone, and then take that 5v4 fight and win it. But with Wild Growth and the shields that are going to be coming through here from Brawler, especially in sort of the mid to late game, it's going to be really difficult for Avant Garde.
Well, let's cast our mind back to the previous series against Rich Gang, where the laning phase wasn't doing great for Sudden Fear at all. But the moment the grouping started, they were on the same page. They had synergy in their comp, and they overran Rich Gang. They got exactly the same potential here. They have decently strong lanes, but their team fight synergy is just absurd. It's so strong.
Oh, yeah.
So I worry for Avant if they can't get that snowball in the mid game, because I don't think team fight phase is going to really suit them at all.
Yeah, but let's leave that phase for a moment, ladies and gentlemen. And who do you think will be picking up first blood in this game? Do you think it'll be Sudden Fear, or do you think it's going to be Avant Garde? Of course, include that hashtag #IamOPL so that you can let us know exactly what you've decided. And of course, with Sudden Fear having this massive amount of synergy in their team fight, maybe not going to be picking up first blood.
Yeah, I have to think with all the pick potential from Avant, that's where I'd cast my vote, just because I mean, if Nidalee gets the right engage, even at level 2 or 3, once she has all her abilities, it's just a massive amount of burst damage. And they've got the CC in the lane, so I'll pass my vote to Avant, but be interesting to see what you guys think.
Yeah, it's exactly right. And I actually think that it's going to be Apaps with a 1v1.
Oh, okay.
Because he's shown that he can do that in the past, and it was exciting.
I mean, Cassiopeia, not the most popular champion. She comes through in competitive, but if you underrate her damage, you do it at the apparel. Even at level 3, get a couple levels in that Twin Fang, hit 3 or 4 of them when you confirm that Q, get the Ignite in. We're talking 400 burst damage so early, so you need to be so careful, so respectful. So there is that 1v1 potential. You'd hope that Kensty's going to play on the back foot, but there's no way to know.
Yeah, and both of these champions naturally picking up a lot of sustain here as well. Of course, the passive of Ahri giving her that spell vamp based on ability use, and once you get those stacks up, that Twin Fang going to be healing up Apaps as he goes through. And is that going to create sort of a bit of a farm lane situation, or is it not enough spell vamp here for Kensty?
It's an interesting matchup. Cassiopeia works best against champions without a lot of wave clear, because if you can hold the wave as Cassio and just, make it so that if anybody wants to walk up to the wave to wave clear, you queue them and then all in. You can zone very well as Cassio, but Kensty, one thing Ahri has is very good, reliable, long-range wave clear, so it's more difficult to deny an Ahri for a Cassio than most matchups. But if you ever try an all-in a Cassio, you know exactly what's going to happen. You have to be so on board with those Spirit Rushes and then just cancelling the movement and moving back. Otherwise, the Petrifying Gaze, you can be slippery, but hard to get away once they've confirmed that poison on the Cassio.
Yeah, and I think that it's going to have to be Kensty managing to pick up, like, a kill while that charm is active. Otherwise, he might just get turned around on. Because if he Spirit Rushes into Apaps, he's going to get yelled at.
And while Cassio is very prone to ganks, there's no CC coming from the jungler here. So again, Charm is going to need to be on form. I mean, jungle gank double kill is not something you often say in competitive, but it's so risky for Nidalee and Kensty's Ahri, both low health pool champions, to even attempt a turret dive or an overly aggressive 2v1 could be turned around easily.
Yeah, but we shall see exactly whether it happens as we hop onto the Rift, ladies and gentlemen, with Avant Garde taking on Sudden Fear for our final game of the night. And Sudden Fear look to carry their synergy from their previous win into this game. And Missouri manages to pick up first blood just as Christmas Tree is going to land a boomerang onto Porky here as well. So it looks like standard lanes may be achieved, but of course only 50 seconds into this one. And they may swap it around if they want. The back potentially to come through from Porky here. Is a spear going to land onto Apaps for a lot of damage.
It's actually the double ward coming onto the brush in reaction to the spear landing, so going to be a little bit less optimal with their wards at level 1. Avant going to get a lot more vision than Sudden Fear. So at least in terms of level 1 ward advantage, give it to Avant.
Yeah, and a Pink Bomi this time probably not going to pick up that 3 buff start as well, so we may not have sort of the double CS Rek'Sai by that 10-minute mark. And they were sort of living on the fact that a Pink Bomi was really far ahead in his matchup in their last game. And do you think they're going to focus a little bit in getting their jungler ahead?
The actual interesting thing about that matchup is although he got the 3 buff, he was actually even in gold at level 3 to the Jarvan. Just because, again, getting that camp with the way experience and gold has changed in the jungle, it doesn't actually give you the big jungle gold boost that it used to. So they were even in gold. It just snowballed because the Jarvan tried to be very active in lanes, did Huey. And Pink Bomi, I mean, on that Rek'Sai, you have so many farming options that you just farm so much quicker that you can snowball a small advantage early really big with all your farming.
Yeah, and you can use those tunnels to get around and get to that farm so quickly as well. As Pink Bomi going to start here at these Krogs, head to that red, and you have to think then over to the blue buff as well. So just standard starts here for maybe both of our junglers, as Chelby has an opportunity to maybe do some counter jungling if he wants to, but we'll see whether he goes for that one, as he's just going to clear out his red buff as well.
You'll notice how much lower Nidalee gets in the jungle now that she doesn't have that instant second round of spells in Cougar form. You will have to use sustain a bit more smartly, but I've been actually marveling at this bottom lane matchup. It's interesting to see the Lulu able to just auto-attack down creeps and help with the early wave push from Sivir. Sivir's level 1 is decent pushing. The level 2 just opens up that instant wave clear. And Brawler's doing his best to just try and ensure this map is played completely with Energizer on the front foot.
Yeah, you can see already that Boomerang Blade coming through, Energizer getting a lot of damage onto Missouri here, and Brawler just having his way with Johnny in this bottom side.
I mean, he's got the ranged auto attack. Of course, if you trade with Lulu early level, she's just like an AD carry. She does so much auto attack damage, even not in having to pick up any flat AD rune, so you have to respect the Lulu early. If you can get Lulu under a turret, she is a squishy range carry, so you can kind of engage and get a pick on her, but if you're under the turret yourself, so much ranged harass coming out of the Lulu.
Yeah, Pink Bomey's actually going to detect Shelby here with his passive, but just going to unburrow onto Kensti. Look for it, actually. Doesn't find it. Kensti just going to wander back. Didn't have to blow his flash and immediately takes care of that tunnel. Says thanks for the 5 gold. Is Porky going to get harassed under this turret, as Christmas Trees is going to do, utilizing that hyper.
So we've seen a lot of solo kills in top lane. I cannot expect there to be any today, just because Irelia versus Gnar, about as standard and even a matchup as we've seen. Of course, there will be, towards level 7, Porky will really start to get going in this matchup. But just early, he's going to eat auto attack after auto attack and try and shrug them off.
Yeah, and we'll see whether he hangs around a little bit too long. That might be the opportunity for Christmas Trees here if he manages to get a surprising level 6 once more. Actually, it was Squiggle who got the surprising level 6 against him in that matchup. So maybe wanting to get his own back as far as that's concerned. Pink Bomey going to take down this Gromp here and take a lot of damage for it as well. But he's level 3. Hasn't been back to base yet, and Shelby already sort of ahead in this jungle. So still able to clear quite well as the Scuttle Crab not going to have too much to offer. Shelby just destroys it, picks up the extra gold.
And if this was the previous patch, you would have actually seen him aggress onto the dragon and pick it up, as there were so many ways to exploit those resets with just somebody trying to help you tank, but has to back away now and pick up some items.
He's going to go for the Chilling Smite here, try and get as much CC as he can. Of course, doesn't have any in his kit, so can't really use that one. An Amp Tome there as well, so the Magus Enchant going to be opted for. Pretty standard stuff here from Shelby. His Energizer just going to say thank you very much for the mana as he soaks up that Phosphorus Bomb. And in this mid lane, not too much happening as of yet. Apap's just shoving this one in over and over again.
So what I'd like to see strategically from Sudden Fear this game is you look down the Avant lineup. There are 1 tank lineup. There's only Aurelia, of course, is a bit of a fighter tank. Has a very high item threshold before she can build tanky. She has to go Trinity Force into tankiness. Shelby, he's a bit caught, but he should be able to get away.
Pink Bomey just going to use his previously laid tunnel there. There's the flash on Burrow as well, as Shelby going to get caught up. The Hyper comes down. Christmas Trees is there, and first blood for a Pink Bomey. Again, this jungle is ahead.
Yeah, I spoke too soon, but 2 flashes later, they do get the kill onto Shelby. He falls behind now with that early death. And yep, Bomey, he's really been able to eke out as much gold as possible in both games.
Oh, Kensti, though, he's going to land the charm onto Apaps, who tries to get some answering damage, but misses the Noxious Blast. So not going to be able to get the reset on that E, on that Twin Fang. Kensti going to do a bit of damage, bit of work here onto this Cassiopeia, who now just going to have to sit back and farm.
And the big issue, I'd say, for Sudfear, if they can keep down Porky, if they delay his Trinity Force, if they camp this Aurelia, if she can never get tanky, we already have seen so many Nidalee comps be undone in the team fighting phase because she's only good going forward. She's not good defensively. And as a single tank lineup, it's all on Porky to do his job and tank for this team.
Ooh, Hook's going to land on an Energizer here. He's going to get the Whimsy Shield to come through and try and turn it around immediately. Phosphorus Bomb just going to get immediately spell shielded. As Missouri going to try and do some work, but you can see he's so low and very low on mana here, as well as Brawler now just more than happy to go toe-to-toe with Johnny.
But look at Ari. She's actually trying to look for a quick kill. There are no wards in the river. Very risky times for Sudden Fear.
Very scary. They are going to back away as they see Kensti coming in. There's the flash from Brawler, but Energizer gets hooked. Johnny's going to be able to do some work, but the heal to come down. Energizer's somehow alive, but the last Orb of Deception, and Kensti gets the kill.
He needed to hit every skill shot there, did Kensti, after the excellent disengage coming out from Sudden Fear. But he does confirm the kill. It validates the roam. Good roam from Kensti.
And used all of his mana perfectly in that exchange as well. Manages to net them a kill as soon as he hits level 6. So that's the power of the Ahri, is of course that roam. Apaps now still in the mid lane, couldn't follow, trying to stack up this tier. And Kensti already getting rolling. Now has the Fiendish Codex, would wish to be able to build that Deathfire Grasp, but alas, unable to, and will either be picking up that Athene's or the Morellonomicon. What do you think he's going to go for here? Sort of the more aggressive option in the Morellonomicon?
I mean, it's a risky choice, as we see Paps just hits his first evolution on the passive, has 100 stacks, so now has the sustain you were talking about, so a lot more sustained options for Paps in the mid lane. I'd have to think he'd go for the Athenes, just because you're going to eat some sort of poison damage from Cassiopeia. That's just the reality of playing against that champion, but look, maybe he'll just try and be aggressive and go for the outplay.
Yeah, Avant Garde going to continue to clear around here. Of course, the pink ward on one more hit. Brawler and Johnny with some nice coordinated warding here towards the Dragon. Missouri going to take a ricochet, but not worry about it too much as things are going to calm down momentarily. Sudden Fear now with a 300 gold lead after that first blood. Things not going too well. Christmas Trees able to keep a lead in this top side. Porky has hit level 6 though at this stage and might be able to start answering back with those Transcendent Blades. Now has the Sheen as well, so the coordination with the Transcendent Blades and the Sheen procs is terrifying from an Aurelia if she can get on top of you.
With the power spikes coming through from the Corki, we are looking for Avant to really be on top of the Dragon control early. They haven't been able to get one 9 minutes in. Of course, at this point, the Chiefs were actually working well towards their second. So Avant need to be on top of this neutral objective. With the Nidalee and Corki, they can do a lot of burst damage to it, but they haven't really got their warding in control spots just yet.
But theoretically, 2 teleports are available, Christmas Trees and a Pink Bomi, as Bomi has hit level 6 at this stage, does have that Void Rush. But Shelby, now inside his jungle, getting 15 gold for this tunnel destruction. Just doing some engineering work here in the jungle. Bit of cleanup. The Gromp now going to, the Krug, sorry, going to be taken away.
Of course, the enemy side of the jungle is available from Bomi, so shouldn't really lose out on too much. Has vision, of course, that Nidalee's in his jungle, and they can just rotate accordingly.
Yep, Porky not going to use that teleport to get back to the top side, as that Dragon is, of course, an option here for either team, and both of these top laners wanting to be holding on to that one. Void Rush going to be used as a Pink Bomi looking to come into this one, and some giggles being had all round in this mid side.
It's a bit quiet here, 10 minutes in. It was the slowest first 10 minutes we've had tonight by far. We've seen so much explosive action previously, but the charm hits in mid. Nice burst of damage on Paps, but he did have a Bomi in his pocket.
The Bomi in the pocket is definitely handy. And Apaps, now with that Twin Fang giving him back some health, he's going to be able to heal himself back up relatively effectively. You can see Kensti playing very far up. Now that he has that kill, 5 CS in the lead now as well. And with the damage advantage in this mid lane, he's playing very aggressively. Equilibrium Strike onto Christmas Trees. Now tanks up the turret a bit as well. And this is the Sheen doing some work for Porky. But the slow to come down from that boomerang a little bit too much. Kensti being forced out of this mid lane just a little bit. As Apap's able to heal himself all the way back up. And that tunnel going to be removed as well. Avant Garde just having to clean the rift. And they're getting a little bit annoyed here at Pink Bomi, just putting things around that they don't want there.
So they do have vision that Nidalee started the Dragon. They don't have the members. Of course, Rek'Sai's in the top side jungle, doesn't have ultimate available, so it should be the first Dragon coming through for Avant.
Yeah, and importantly as well, Christmas Trees just went back to that Mini Gnar form. Sudden Fear, they're trying to come in and get something done, but you can see Mini Gnar not going to offer too much. And Avant Garde able to get out. Boomerang not going to find its mark as Spirit Rush going to be used from Kensti here. Lands the charm on a Pink Bomi as well. And that is going to deter Sudden Fear from going further in. So a free Dragon and a teleport in favor of Avant. Really nicely played.
Yeah, after the wonderful timings on the runs from Christmas Tree's last game, teleporting with no rage seemed just a little bit questionable to me. It didn't look like he needed to do that. He loses a lot of wave pressure in the top. We already talk about Aurelia naturally outscaling Gnar with levels and items, and he's just kind of accelerating that by giving free farm to Porky.
Yep, evened up that farm gap as well. Only 4 now in the lead is Christmas Trees, who has made it back here to this top side. Porky actually looking to go aggressive here as well as Christmas Trees slows him down. He's trying to kite under here. There's the Blade Surge, and Porky, oh my goodness, that last turret shot. I swear that was delayed as Porky survives.
So much credit to Christmas Trees. He opened up so much space with the flash that Porky almost fell to just the turret damage. So again, excellent top lane mechanics coming out from both players. I like the aggression coming through from Porky, trying to punish Gnar and stop him from picking up that easy farm under the turret.
And he did do that, but he almost sacrificed his life for it. Trading flashes here are our top laners, as Shelby going to throw a spear into the mid lane, not going to find a target other than a creep. But he's not actually ahead, and Johnny's coming around here to try and get some work done to a Pink Bomi, who's going to flash on Burrow on him. The flayback comes through. There's the box as well. The teleport immediately coming in from Porky. His Blade Surge going to be in range. Shelby gets frozen up and destroyed by that petrifying gaze as Porky's trying to turn it around. Descends doesn't find its mark, and Sudden Fear, they take the pick and get the hell out. Another double ward just to make sure.
Yeah, the spear hitting just baited Shelby into his doom. You never want to go into melee range against a Cassiopeia. And even if the roam didn't come through from Brawler, which excellent timing on his side, he would have definitely fallen to all that burst damage from the Casio.
Yeah, Missouri actually trying for the 1v1 in the bottom side, but doesn't quite manage to. Has that Trinity Force not quite completed, but has a 20 CS advantage here on the bottom side.
So really interesting to see where Casio goes with her build. Zhonya's, Rod of Ages, Rylai's, they're all realistic options as a second item. He's not really going to give us too much information. Only the Ruby Crystal scores many Rylai's, but Energizes in a lot of trouble.
Oh yeah, is forced to use that flash and the heal, but it's not enough as Missouri picks up a kill. This comfort pick Corki doing some work, and we were right to highlight this guy. Of course, Missouri now 1-0-1, CS advantage in that lane, playing fantastically.
Yeah, this is, of course, a good laning matchup for Siva. This is a lane where she's able to negate Missouri's best harassment or the Phosphorus Bomb with the E, but in the top lane, Christmas Trees, he's in a lot of trouble. This is where Porky really starts to stamp his advantage in the top lane against this Gnar.
Yeah, Hyper is going to proc onto Porky, though, with that Boomerang, and Christmas Tree is going to get a fair bit of health back from this Mega Gnar transformation, and Porky, he's respecting it. As you can see, Christmas Tree is now just happily pushing under this turret. Porky might be in trouble with the Gnar available now. Immediately Gnar'd into the wall. Pink Bomey's here as well. Christmas Tree's tanking up the turret, just hangs out for a bit. Easy kill, easy dive for Sudden Fear.
Excellent dive coming through. So they'll take the turret as well. This gets their first turret. They need to start resting that turret snowball. Of course, Casio's already lost the turret in mid. They pick a nice one up on top.
Yeah, you can see the sort of top to bottom disadvantages coming through from both sides. Avant Garde struggling up there, but in the bottom lane, Missouri doing some work. Does have that Trinity Force. Ooh, Charm not going to quite find Brawler there as the Spear's going to go wide as well. And just takes a noxious blast for his troubles, does Kensti in the mid lane, and they have to back away.
Yeah, perhaps no completed items. I have to think it'll be the Rylai's, but of course it could be a Haunting Guys and just straight going into the Seraph's Embrace. Really flexible is Cassiopeia's item build, and then once you hit those 500 stacks, the 30% AP just validates any item choice you go for.
And if you look at Apaps here as well, does have not very much mana, and that's his blue buff getting stolen away now by Avant Garde. It was actually Kensti that managed to pick it up. Brawler is going to steal that Scuttle Crab. And now Sudden Fear looking to pick up their first dragon in a minute and a half. Avant Garde, of course, managing to take that one away from them, using their bottom side advantage, and now Sudden Fear looking to try and answer back. But this sort of happened in the last Sudden Fear game. Energizer fell behind in his lane, but then in these team fights played fantastically for his team.
And we talked already about how much synergy there is with the On The Hunt, the Whimsy, and all the options it gives Sudden Fear in a fight. We've already seen Christmas Trees put on a carry level performance on that Gnar, so there's a lot of options still available to Sudden Fear, but they're opting into a hole a second time. They're kind of fallen away in the early game. The early game is definitely letting them down. And look, the grouping phase, it definitely seems to be their strength, but they cannot let Avant move into too much of an advantage before that starts.
Yeah, and speaking of opting into a hole, Apaps is pretending to be Ryze in this mid.
I mean, it's a Karthus build too. It's that really mana-hungry build. You can understand it because, of course, with all the mana nerfs in later patches, Cassiopeia's Twin Fang adds up to 100 mana on every hit, which, of course, you get about 2 or 3 or 4 down every time you confirm the poison. She's a very mana-hungry champion, but the Rod of Ages is going to be very delayed. It's going to be a 17, 18, 20-minute Rod of Ages, so it delays her power spike that much more.
Actually opted to go for those Sorcerer's Shoes here before picking that one up, so interesting. But, of course, if this game goes to 30 minutes, it doesn't matter when she picked up that Rod of Ages, just as long as she's got it, and it's there at 10 stacks. So Avant Garde, they can possibly take advantage of it, and they might do so by taking down this dragon, which they have grouped for. Double Trinity Force, not quite there yet, as Porky still needs about 800 gold to grab that one. Pink Bomey looking to try and get some harass with that Prey Seeker, as Avant Garde now just asserting their dominance over here. Blade Surge was used from Porky onto Christmas Trees, who just wallops him. The charm gonna land. Christmas Trees way out of position. Doesn't even get the Gnar, and Avant Garde destroy the tank. Now gonna easily pick up this dragon. Glitterland's gonna go wide as well, and Avant Garde stamping control on this game.
Yeah, Energizer was so chunked out in the bottom of the fight, he didn't even bother to use the On The Hunt, so he couldn't even get his team in. It just led to Christmas Trees dying all alone. And this is the danger of falling behind against an Avant Garde. If they can get an advantage with vision, they could be so deadly.
Oh, and there's the double play as well. The box comes through. Charm goes wide as Apaps is still alive somehow. Porky's round from the side. Kensti picks up the kill. The flash Porky, he's looking for it. The double knock-up to land on this Aurelia. He doesn't even fall down though as Apaps, Pink Bomi, going to get completely baited. Shelby as well now looking for it as these AV members are just able to answer with the re-engaged damage. The Lantern's taken and Avant Garde, they're going to be safe and they've just turned it on these last few minutes. Beautiful play.
And you feel like Sudden Fear trying to recreate the last game. Understandable with the very similar comp they've picked, but they haven't hit the same item times. They're actually in big power troughs compared to their opponents. It's going to be double Trinity Force very soon. They've already given away 2 dragons. And literally, when she's ahead, you can see how powerful she is. Shelby is doing work in these fights.
Oh, yeah. All of his extra damage being brought to these fights on this Nidalee has been fantastic. And you have to think now with double Trinity Force and the fact that there's a BF sword sitting in the inventory of Misui and a needlessly large rod now for Kensti. 2-0 and 2 on this Ahri. And still making that champion look overpowered. I'm not going to lie to you.
Sudden Fear really need to regroup. They need to buy time for Cassiopeia to get her Rod of Ages stacks. They need this Infinity Edge coming out from Energizer. She has the gold right now. Does Siva just hasn't had time to go back to back and pick up that item. It was when they had Infinity Edge, it was just the 1 item power spike. It was 1,000, 1,500 gold behind from Energizer, but he was still doing damage because he had the Trinity Force. Right now, with just the constituent parts, just can't even hold a candle to all Misui's doing with the Trinity Force and BF Sword on top.
Oh yeah, and Misui, while everything was going on, all that funny business there in the mid lane with those dives to come through from Avant Garde, he took down the inner turret in the bottom lane as well, so utilizing that Trinity Force to get his split push on as Christmas Tree is now going to aggress onto Shelby, the longest auto attack in the world, going to follow him through that dark passage as Christmas Trees continues to add some harass, now about to transform into that Mega Gnar, and this may spell to Avant, wait that 15 seconds, then engage.
Yeah, we see up the top lane, Porky's completely unhindered. There's no teleport available on Gnar, so even though Gnar's grouping, he's actually in danger as we see the rotations coming through from Avant.
Yeah, just going to find a creep there with that boulder as well as Porky's going to be unhindered. And now Christmas Tree's in trouble. Wild Growth onto him here as well as they get a lot of answering damage onto Shelby. Porky in a bit of trouble as Glitterland's going to come down. It's a nice spear onto Brawler who's going to be completely convinced that he does not want to follow that one.
Yeah, I mean, Christmas Trees, with that random wins, is able to get away from that fight. The attack speed, so doing so much work for him in the trade. But they have to lose the Lulu ultimate, and they lose the objective anyway. 4 turrets to 1 now for Avant.
And you look at this lineup and you think, okay, they've got 80 carry doing 80 damage. They've got an Aurelia up here as well who's going to be auto-attacking. But there's a lot of magic damage coming out of this Avant team. Sort of half of Misui's damage going to be magic. Ahri as well as this Nidalee. And we've just got a Randuin's and a Null Magic Mantle now for Christmas Trees. He's theoretically incredibly squishy in these fights now with all the magic.
You can see from Bomi's items that he's working towards an Aegis. That'll be a very big pickup for Sudden Fear. But this game is all about Avant using the Nidalee jungle, using their aggressive options early and taking the objectives and just forcing Sudden Fear into a position where they're so far behind that their hyperscaling comp doesn't ever come to fruition. We never see that picture-perfect team fight we're almost salivating for in the pre-game. And so far, you have to say, they've been super effective at that.
Yeah, Spirit Rush is going to find the charm onto a Pink Bomi here as well. And Kensti not going to be able to secure that kill as he used the Ignite as well. Pink Bomi able to get out of that one. Apap's going to use the Petrifying Gaze, but not find anyone, and Misui just destroys him.
Yeah, I mean, getting caught left, right, and center is Paps on the Cassiopeia. Cassio fighting next to her carries, next to Energizer, for example. If you're forcing the enemy to dive both carries, you can get a huge Petrifying Gaze. But if you're just alone, getting caught in rotation with all the point-and-click CC available from Avant, you do so little as Cassio.
Yeah, Descent's going to land here onto Christmas Trees, though, who doesn't have any rage. He's just going to fall. A Pink Bomi going to follow. And Avant Garde just so strong now. And you were talking about this Nidalee, and Shelby's doing work.
He's doing so much. He's actually gone for a quite selfish build, going for the scaling option of Rod of Ages. Of course, it means that he can give that blue buff away earlier. It means he'll be just that much more tankier in the late game, but it doesn't matter. Look at the damage everyone's doing.
There's another hook to come through from Johnny. He's playing so well on this Thresh. And a spear going to land on an Energizer, and he's going to go back and recharge, I think.
Yeah, pick comp being played to perfection from Avant. The mid-game power spice of the Corki with all the CC. This is what we talked about. There's excellent CC in the lanes for Chelby to hit those spears, and they're hitting and doing big damage.
Yeah, Apap's just going to throw out Noxious Blast multiple times onto that trap. Not going to actually kill it, unfortunately, as Chelby made sure that they were immune to poison. He's just going to clear out this top side of the map. But is there a hope here for Sudden Fear to turtle this one out? Do they have the options?
They kind of need the miracle comeback that they had against Rich Gang, where they suffered in the lanes, there was big advantages across the map, and then one team fight changed it against Rich Gang, and Sudden Fear went on to win comfortably from there. There is that potential again here, but they're in even a bigger item trough than they were in the previous game. They're 7,500 gold behind. It's one of those situations where a poke comp should never win a balanced team fight against a team fight comp, but with such a lead, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, and they're just launching through, and these death sentences have been coming thick and fast. It's just beautiful to see Johnny on this thresh. 0-0 and 9 now. As Avant Garde now just looking to pressure Sudden Fear away from another dragon. This will make it 3 here for Avant Garde with none on the side of Sudden Fear. You can see Dragon doing a bit of work here for Sudden Fear as far as getting some damage down, but Avant Garde pressuring them off, and Sudden Fear, no way that they can answer. Now getting that 5% movement speed from the Dragon.
And even with the Hex Drinker, just the spear's doing so much damage from Nidalee, they have to back away. Usually, Nidalee comps struggle when they're taking Dragons, because if you group up as a Nidalee comp, you take 5, but we might see an engage.
Yeah, here's the On the Hunt being popped here. Spirit Rush trying to be used. The Nada get Kensti back to Wallop as well. They get the pick here to Sudden Fear, but are they going to be able to pick up any more? They used a lot to grab that one. And the sonar from Pink Bomi, he's hunting Porky here, is going to just destroy that tunnel and be on his way. Of course, with that Giant's Belt building up towards that Randuin's, he's getting really tanky.
Just look at the creeps across the map, though, Atlas. You see Missouri actually abandoned that skirmish a long time ago. It's gone to top. They're trying to push this last outer turret that's up for Sudden Fear. So getting a pick, it feels great. They finally killed that Fox, but there's just no objectives for them to pick up with the Dragon just being taken.
Yeah, and this inner turret is going to fall in response here as well. Sudden Fear a little bit slow. There's the flash on Burrow here, but Porky just going to shrug it off. A Pink Bomi is going to cause a rampage from Missouri as he falls down, and the inner turret just going to fall to creeps as well. Sudden Fear unable to catch a break. Oh, there's actually going to be the ult being used onto Porky, but he jumped behind him. It didn't land onto anyone again. Juni coming in. Missouri picks up another kill. Juni gets a well-deserved one as well, and Sudden Fear are melting. The triple kill for Missouri. 7-0-4, and this guy's going off on Corky.
The skirmishing from specifically Juni has been wonderful. You saw the flash box coming through, and Missouri just cleans it up. Trinity Force, Pickaxe, BF Sword in a massive power advantage. And the big issue for Sudden Fear is they're doing similar plays to last game. They just don't have items to support them in teamfights. They're dying when they go for those engages. You could see what they were thinking with the flash on Burrow, but he just died instantly, did Bomi.
Yeah, and Apap's just not looking as comfortable now on this Cassiopeia. Just the ultimates have not been landing on the targets that they want. Of course, having Blade Surge put Porky behind him and then the Petrifying Gaze coming out, it's really not working out here for Sudden Fear. And they're in a very, very big hole now because that's an 11,000 gold lead and they're 1 turret to 7.
It's just the global gold is multiplying what is already significant advantages across the board for Avant. And I agree with you on the Cassiopeia pick. She's kind of an interesting champion in that she can be a pick champion. She can be a hybrid teamfight champion. Kensti's going to get away with the Spirit Rush. She can do everything, but when she's behind and you have no map vision, you have no threat of face-checking a brush and finding a Cassiopeia Petrifying Gaze, there are just times when she just doesn't really feel like she does anything well enough to justify the pick.
No, and it's just not working out this game. It's definitely illustrating your point on the Rift thus far, Papa Smithy. And Sudden Fear need to really do something drastic to turn this one around. Shelby's going to find a Pink Bomi here. Not going to find the spear, though, as the tunnel just going to get him to safety. And Johnny hunting for more prey. He's been fantastic on this thresh so far. 1-0-13. 100% kill participation for this thresh. Playing so well.
I was just about to get to that point. I noticed the same thing. This massive plays from Johnny on the thresh. Just going off.
Playing so well. Now going to make it, if they win this game, going to make it 2-1 on that champion and looking really, really strong. The Baron now just going to be taken on a whim here by Avant Garde. They're just going to leave their smite in the mid lane, just having a purr at these minions. You can see Shelby doing some work there. The Baron's going to fall down. And Sudden Fear, they're in a lot of trouble.
Well, I mean, you look at the ward coverage available for Sudden Fear. They're lucky to get wards outside their base. They're actually on the base walls. They're that afraid of the poke coming through from the Nidalee. They just no hope in hell to be able to contest that Baron. Completely free Baron. As free a Baron as we've seen in all of the OPL this season. And we've seen some one-sided games.
Oh, yeah.
But Sudden Fear, they just got no answer to advanced map control. Nidalee, when she's ahead, we've said it a few times, looks great.
Yeah, and there are some huge creeps now entering this base. Charm going to land on a pink Bomi here. He's just going to tunnel his way out. A little bit of damage to come through. Christmas Tree's about to evolve here. The Gnar lands onto no one, though. And Sudden Fear, they have to get out. That's the first good petrifying gaze from Apex, but he gets charmed. The double kill now for Kenstu, who's looking for more. Porky just not going to get CC'd at all because that Ionian Fervor is fantastic for him. Brawler's going to get hooked. Of course he is. Johnny comes in with the sweet plays. Christmas Tree's going to get pounced on. Shelby suicides for it. Beautiful work. The shutdown to come down to get the first kill for Energizer, but he is the last man standing. And Avant Garde are looking fantastic in this one.
They don't have minion waves to support them, so the game might not end right now, but you have to think it's just a matter of time for Avant. So well executing on the pick comp they have, so well using the Nidalee jungle. In the OPL this season, they've struggled, but wonderful play from all the lanes to support what Shelby's been doing. And Kensti looks a lot more at home on that Ahri.
Oh yeah, now 5-1-4, and he's been such a nuisance throughout this entire game. Able to open up windows for his team just by looking like he's overextended and baiting Sudden Fear into using everything to stop him. And it hasn't worked that many times. He's only died once.
And everything Sudden Fear's gone for, every big Gnar engage, every flank has been punished by Avant. They've been very good at warding their flanks, so they've been kind of caught every time. How many times have we seen Christmas Trees go for the flank on Gnar, have half a rage bar, and just die instantly to all the focus fire coming from the picks? Juni's been the one we've called out, still 100% kill participation for that Thresh. At this point, can probably throw out the Lantern to get assists, so probably going to be 100%, but we still have to credit Juni for wonderful play. And there's just nowhere that's safe on the map for Sudden Fear to be, apart from their own base, and they're not going to find much fun in there.
Yeah, that is very, very true, actually. Just zooming in onto Juni just to see where he keeps that Sword of the Occult. And I couldn't see it on his portrait because, of course, Thresh not generally one to pick up that item.
Yeah, some nice 80 scaling coming onto the Flay, so maybe we're going to see some nice burst damage if he gets a few more assists. Look, if you got 100% kill participation, if you're just overloading gold, can't really blame you whatever you pick up.
Yeah, I mean, picking up a stacking item that's based on, you know, kill assist to death ratio, it's looking pretty good when you pick it up and you've got 100% and you've got an infinite KDAs. Apap's just going to get destroyed. Kensti picks up that kill. Energizer now going to use that spell shield well, but Sudden Fear there on the ropes. Oh, the charm to come through. Energizer's going to die. Mizui's legendary now as Christmas Tree's going to be the focus. The whimsy onto Shelby, but he doesn't even care. He's really tanky with this Rod of Ages. And Avant Garde, they're just looking too big.
Yeah, they're just too big. They're too far ahead. Sudden Fear, everything they've tried has fallen apart. They don't have the items to contest. Shelby can be a frontline Nidalee because what's anybody to do? And Avant going to win this game.
Yeah, Mizui just looking so comfortable on this this Corki as well. 8-0-7. Fantastic. You were talking about the fact that it's a comfort lane here for these guys, and they are demonstrating exactly that as the Nexus is going to be falling down. Avant Garde pick up a kill to tie their score now with Sudden Fear in an answer to their victory from before. So again, I mean, they went into today 1-3, now going to be 2-4, so still sharing a spot here in the OPL.
Yeah, both Avant Garde and Sudden Fear getting themselves closer to that 5th place position, getting themselves closer to getting away from those relegation spots. Fornot, they're going to be really needing to get on the board soon because both teams in their victories have looked wonderful here. Both Sudden Fear and
now Avant.
And Avant, yeah.
Looking really, really good. But we have a replay. Let's just see how tricksy Avant were. And let's look for Johnny doing everything in these fights.
I mean, Johnny, 100% kill participation in this game. You know he's going to be involved. So let's roll the tape here. And so this is when Pink Bomi, he just goes for the flash engage. This might have worked in the previous game, but it's just deceptively squishy here, all the Sudden Fear members. They're so undertuned in terms of items that even though we were so excited about the synergy between the comp, when no one can get it going at the same time, it just doesn't work. You know, at that point, Juni comes in, the flash box is just wonderful. There's only 3 members, including the AD carry at this point, and Misui, he's just like, lovely, I got my Trinity Force, everyone's gonna die.
Yep, and that was actually a 3-man flay into box into just death sentence the guy that he missed with the flay. So he's just making sure he spreads all of his efforts around everyone on Sudden Fear. And man, Johnny, that was some of the best Thresh play I've ever seen.
I was so close to a cost-effective Sword of the Occult. 7 stacks. Wasn't quite the 9, but he was getting there.
Oh, getting there. Getting so... Is it cost-effective when it's on Thresh? Is that how it works?
I mean, I'm talking about sheer AD numbers, mathematics here, please.
Yeah, no,
don't bring your
I'm
team comps and synergies to me.
Oh, beautiful pickup, though. And he, you know, he made it work. Continued up that 100% kill participation.